Duchy of Krnov. The Duchy of Jägerndorf was one of the Duchies of Silesia, which in 1377 emerged from the Duchy of Troppau, itself a fief of the Bohemian Crown. Its capital was at Krnov in the present-day Czech Republic. History: the province had been established in 1269 on lands which until then had been part of the Bohemian Margraviate of Moravia, when King Ottokar II of Bohemia vested his natural son Nicholas I with Opava. Together with the adjacent Duchy of Raceborz, it was under the direct rule of a cadet branch of the royal Premyslid dynasty, unlike most other Silesian duchies ruled by the Silesian Piasts, who nevertheless in large part also had become Bohemian vassals in 1327. Nicholas retained Opava after the last Premyslid ruler of Bohemia, King Wenceslaus III, was killed in 1306. In the following struggle for the Bohemian throne, he backed the claims of the Luxembourg candidate John the Blind, who in turn infoffed his son and successor Nicholas II with the Duchy of Opava in 1318. In 1337 Nicholas II also received the neighbouring Duchy of Raceborz upon the death of the last Piast Duke Leszek. When Duke Nicholas II died in 1365, his eldest son John I inherited the Duchy of Raceborz, while the Duchy of Opava from 1367 was ruled jointly by him and his younger brothers Nicholas III, Wenceslaus I and Premekaj. When in 1377 the brothers finally divided their Opava heritage, the eldest, John I, received the newly established Duchy of Krnov together with the Bruntel estates. Upon his death in 1388, Raceborz, Krnov and Bruntel were inherited by his elder son John II the Iron. In 1384 Duke John II sold Krnov to the Piast Duke Vladislav of Opole, who ceded it to the Luxembourg Margrave Jobst of Moravia in 1390. After Jobst had died in 1411, his cousin Emperor Sigismund pawned Krnov to the Piast Duke Louis II of Brieg, but in 1422 again ceded it to John II, who could redeem the pledge. 2 years later, the duchy was inherited by his sons Wenceslaus II and Nicholas V, who ruled jointly until 1437, when Nicholas received Krnov together with Bruntel, Ples, Rybnik, Laslau and Sorau. Upon his death in 1452, Krnov and Laslau fell to his elder son John IV, while Rybnik, Sorau and Ples fell to his younger brother Wenceslaus III. The Premyslid dukes finally lost Krnov during the Bohemian-Hungarian War in 1474 to Matthias Corvinus, then anti-king of Bohemia, who had John IV captured and arrested. After John's death in 1483, his sister Barbara, consort of Duke Jan IV of Oswiecim, tried to regain the duchy. However, Vladislav II Jagiellon, having prevailed as Bohemian king, had no intention to return the seized duchy but infoffed his chancellor Johann von Skellenberg with Krnov instead. An agreement was reached in 1492, when Barbara's daughter Helena married Skellenberg's son George. In 1523 George of Skellenberg had to sell Krnov to the Hohenzollern Margrave George of Brandenburg-Ansbach, who could rely on the Hungarian inheritance of his consort Beatrice de Franchepan, widow of Matthias Corvinus. From 1532 to the Margrave ruled over all Upper Silesia, when he also inherited the Duchy of Opole and Raceborz from the Piast Duke Jan II the Good. He had Krnov castle rebuilt and introduced the Protestant Reformation in Silesia, having the local Teutonic Knights, Franciscans and Minorites expelled. The increasing increasing power of the Protestant House of Hohenzollern in the Silesian crown lands was suspiciously eyed by Ferdinand I of Habsburg, Bohemian king since 1526. Nevertheless, George as well as his son Margrave George Frederick, who ruled from 1543, were able to keep the duchy. The conflict aggravated when George Frederick died childless in 1603 and bequested Krnov to his cousin Elector William III Frederick of Brandenburg. The Habsburg rulers regarded the duchy a reverted fiefdom after the Bohemian Revolt and the 1620 Battle of White Mountain. Emperor Ferdinand II confiscated the Hohenzollern possessions in his Bohemian lands. Ferdinand's loyal supporter Prince Karl I of Liechtenstein, Duke of Opava since 1613, received Krnov. Both duchies were merged in 1623 and subjected to counter-reformation. The House of Hohenzollern never withdrew the claims, and more than 100 years later, the Krnov and Rasebor's possessions were a pretext for the Prussian King Frederick the Great to start the First Silesian War, ending with the annexation of most of Silesia according to the Treaty of Breslau in 1742. While a small northern part was merged into the now Prussian Duchy of Opole, the bulk of Krnov remained with the Bohemian Crown as part of Austrian Silesia. Reorganized as the Krnov district from 1751, it was finally dissolved after the 1848 revolution, when Austrian Silesia was raised to the status of a Cisleithanian crown land.